I find that this time of the year can be a little bit more difficult too, in that, you get home at 5:30 or 6 and it's dark out, and you can't necessarily go for a walk outside. I was really thankful to be able to play volleyball last night, right? That was like 45 minutes of cardio activity without my phone, right? But it is just the awareness. I couldn't imagine, like, if you get home at 5:30 when it's dark and you don't go to bed until 10. And I mean, I can guarantee you there are people that probably scroll for like 4 hours, and then just like think to yourself that you just consumed like 4 hours of toxic or negativity or doomsday, because there's a shit ton of doomsday going on as well. And like, I just couldn't imagine, if you will, going to bed with that. You're probably not going to sleep well.
Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast, for real estate pros by real estate pros, with your hosts, Ashley Frederick and Stephen Birch. If you're looking for an honest, authentic, and raw perspective, you found it.
Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast. All right, so I don't know if it's going to be a rant or what it's going to be, but we'll just go with it. So there's a lot of things going on in the world right now that's happening. There's a lot of change on the political side and the government. There's so much unknown. And I don't care where you are, like if you're on the left, the right, or what party affiliation you are. I think my biggest thing right now is how social media specifically, and major news outlets, right, can derail the true issue that is happening at hand. A lot of propaganda that's happening, a lot of clickbait scare tactics to get people to be scared and not know what's going on and create chaos. And and I think ultimately what is happening that really is more frustrating to me is how people are treating one another, right? Like they're attacking people, they're keyboard warriors. It's just completely disgusting. And I don't know where we went wrong in the world of, as far as being able to agree to disagree and have mutual respect for one another and have civil conversations. But, it's kind of scary. I don't know how else to say it, but, we're talking about flying, and Ashley, you said that, kind of getting this little bit of a fear of getting on a plane, because right now there's so much in the news about flights and tragedy and accidents that are happening. But as I said before, like, I really think it's because the media, like once your algorithm picks it up, right, and that you're focused on it, that's all you're going to see and you're going to pay attention to, and that's all you can fixate on. So I don't know, kind of just threw that out there of a little rant, and then we can go and see where it goes.
Isn't it like what is that, like your reticulating act? What is that, like when you see like the same like white vehicle, reticulate, whatever that's called? I can't think of it right now.
Reactor? Yeah,
what?
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, the brain
It's
thing.
like, right, so like you have a Cadillac, and then like all you see on the road are Cadillacs, right? Like it's kind of the same thing. But I think like many moons ago, I used to have this fear of flying, and I think I'm maybe not on the podcast, but at one time talked about how, I thought there was a terrorist on the flight, and then like it was absolute craziness, right? Like lots ensued, and like I definitely thought that we were not coming out of that airplane ride. I think the more frequently I started flying, the more I realized like it's just another daily habit of getting on the plane, getting off the plane, full of delays, etc. But you're right. I think that, there's a tragedy, and I think what happened, as far as the plane crash, is extremely tragic. I think it's part of that because like you get to see all these people's lives and who they were and what they were doing, and it's just absolutely like heartbreaking because, like, for example, that was a pre-Olympic, figure skating team, and like that same weekend, my nephew had flown to Florida for a pre-Olympic soccer program, and I think it's like a reality switch that like literally it can happen. But you're right in that I think the world that we're in, like, and that's the way algorithms work. Like you spend more time on one, your algorithms pick that up, or you might interact with one, you like it, you love it, whatever. But to me, I told you earlier, I was like, gosh, I'm supposed to fly this weekend, and I'm starting to get a little panicked, which I haven't done for a really long time because, I mean, you and I both fly a lot, and it's just become normal. And I'm thinking to myself, I even got on a freaking 6-person flight like 6 months ago, and right, I managed to survive that, and I'll be honest, like it is when you go down this path, and at least it's a matter of I can realize it. But I think I Googled like how many flights are in a day, and it is something outrageous. It's like, I don't know if it was a million. I think it might have been like 1.5 million or something like that. And so I was like, okay, Ashley, like there are 1.5 million flights a day. We're talking about like one that you're taking. And I was actually having a conversation about that. I ran into someone at the coffee shop this morning and they said that they were having a flight coming up and they were thinking they were going to cancel and they were going to drive. And you and I were talking about how I think the statistics actually show that you're more likely to get in a car accident than you are a plane. And if you think about that, like driving, like my God, like how many vehicles do you come across? Like you're driving from the north to the south, like thousands, right? And all it takes is one person to cross the center line. And, you know, where if you're talking about flights, like it's mechanical error or right another plane or whatnot. But it was interesting. I noticed in the algorithms too that something that happened like 7 months ago now came up in my algorithm. So there was something about something that happened on a tarmac, and I was like, how could this happen the same week? And then so I like looked at the comments, and they were from like November, and I was like, see, like why is that coming up in my algorithm now? And really, I think we have to remind ourselves of facts over fear, and if you can really fill yourself with facts of safety in the skies and those types of things, it can start to trump the fear. But I think that it's not just flying. I think it's just, you know, I had another friend that talked about not going to like our franchise's conference because you know it's in New Orleans, and obviously there was a tragedy there a couple of months ago as well. And you know, it's kind of like oddly enough, there's always been a tragedy like where we've had our conferences. So you know, in Vegas, we had a conference and there was a tragedy, you know, there. I remember when we were in Vegas last year, they came and they checked our rooms before the marathon. Like that was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Like they were looking for a shooter in my room, you know, or Orlando. And I think that we just have to remember that like life is life. We can't focus on those small things because then I actually feel like we're missing out on some of the greatest things that you could experience, you know, like you could go to New Orleans, you could meet someone new that might impact your life forever, but you know, you were so scared about the 2-hour flight that you missed out on an opportunity that could change your trajectory. So I think what I wanted to just bring to attention today is awareness that we have to be the stopgap. Like we have to be the ones that are like, enough's enough. I need to turn off TikTok. I need to turn off whatever. I can go for a walk on the treadmill. If you're somewhere where it's nice enough, you can go for a walk outside. Like that's so much better for your mental health. But it is a matter of being able to realize that, okay, like we are not helping ourselves in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's also something like to reach out to someone, right? So like I reached out to you and I was like, literally, like I have this random fear of flying. And then that's my girlfriend was like, Ashley, facts over fear. And I was like, you are correct. I need to stop going down this rabbit hole.
Well, and I think that that's what, again, with anything. And you can kind of understand where some of this, I think there's a social gap in the world, right? Because of social media, right? And people don't know how to truly articulate now on a social setting what's going on, what they're processing, because they take everything that they see online for literally face value. And you make a great point, facts, right? Like you have to be able to do critical thinking, get down to it and understand that it may not be the true presence of events, right? This could be pulled up from however long ago, but it's just because of the algorithm or because of what you're looking at. But really, I think that like this is where, interjects chaos in our own minds. And then, one of the topics we kind of talked about, like that we want to talk about is mental health. And maybe this goes right into that. But if you don't get yourself out of that rut and you don't go do something different as far as the, walking or doing whatever you need to do other than just sitting there scrolling, like I can totally see where mental health is something that people maybe don't really realize that it's creeping up on them, and they're not paying attention to how much that scrolling and that information that they're receiving is really affecting them and their anxiety and their depression and their fears, like all of the different things that are going to compound together that if you don't stop, if you don't find a different way, like you're going to compound together and you're going to find yourself in a really dark place. And I don't want anybody to be in that dark place whatsoever.
Well, and I think, I know that you guys aren't as cold as we are, but, like we have 40-mile-an-hour winds today. I'm sure it's like -10, right? So I find that this time of the year it can be a little bit more difficult too, in that, you get home at 5:30 or 6 and it's dark out. And,
Right.
you can't necessarily go for a walk outside. Like I was really thankful to be able to play volleyball last night, right? That was like 45 minutes of cardio activity without my phone, right? Um, but it is just the awareness. I couldn't imagine like if you get home at 5:30 when it's dark and you don't go to bed until 10. And I mean, I can guarantee you there are people that probably scroll for like 4 hours and then just like think to yourself that you just consumed like 4 hours of toxic or negativity or doomsday, because there's a shit ton of doomsday going on as well. And like, I just couldn't imagine, if you will, going to bed with that. You're probably not going to sleep well either. And then you're going to wake up and start the next day, like already in this downward spiral, if you will. So I think we just have to be really aware of, and I do like catch myself like, okay, like I've done that for like 20 minutes. Like I need to go find something to do, whether it's walking laps in my own house or you know what? I should read a book. Like I should go get an actual hard cover book and pour some like goodness into my soul, because I think when you actually start to do that, like that is when it is easier to sleep and when it's easier. And I've really focused on trying to reconnect with people. Like I had coffee with someone this morning. I have coffee with someone tomorrow. So like if we can fill those little voids in our day with just pouring into other people, I think that that can help keep us up here. But I think you also don't know where other people are. So when you are having like coffees or lunches with someone, you very quickly learn that they're likely struggling with something, and it could be because of the world that we're living in. And if you can kind of be their bright moment for the day, or maybe have the reality check for them, like, yeah, maybe it's not such a good idea to be watching all those things. Why don't you try, like over the weekend we tried to find um a new sitcom, which that's a whole nother, I mean, right, it's The Diplomat, which is really good, but it's like about the like the British and the Scottish and the Americans like fighting over stuff. And I was like, this is the best time to be watching, this, but trying to find something. So even, I think we watched, I can't remember what movie it was, but like, I think it was an old movie. Like I thought about pulling out like my Billy Madison the other day, because I was like, I just need something to laugh about.
Give some positivity. And there's so many different things to unpack there. Like the people, and I know that I have been one of these people, but scroll and then you go to bed. Like, okay, look at the blue light and everything else that you're receiving, you're looking at it, you're stimulating your brain. But then what is typically the first thing that you pick up in the morning? Like for me, my alarm is on my phone. So the very last thing that I did was look at my phone, and the very first thing that I'm doing is looking at my phone. And something that you do, is that you try not to have your phone whatsoever in the morning. And I think that's something that is crucial to start your day, because if you just go and jump right back into scrolling and getting, I mean, it's addictive, right? Like, it's how many likes did I get? How many comments did I get? Who said what, right? Like, you jump on there and it gets addicting to be able to get you back into that social media pool. And how long until you get out of it? And are you actually being productive and setting yourself up for success that day? But I also really enjoy, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, you're right. Like and you probably know, because I know sometimes you send me emails, like I typically don't respond to them until, I don't know, probably like 9 or 10 o'clock, because I refuse to put myself into my emails like that early, because I know that I'll lose track of what I was doing. I think I've come to the realization that like there's nothing that can't wait. I mean, right, you would know if you were expecting an email that was time sensitive, I would imagine, or someone would have reached out to you, but really protecting that time in the morning to, work out, do a little, Shakti mushroom mat, red light therapy, whatever that is. I mean, I do that at the crack of dawn so that I'm not interrupted, and I don't have to, it's like this, you mentioned it before, but like this anxiousness, like there's no point in putting anxiousness into my morning when I don't have to. So sure, I'll shut my alarm off, and I think I'll normally say like if I got a text message, because, there's always that like, did something happen overnight somewhere, to somebody, but otherwise I have Audible and that's about it. And then I don't open my emails until, like we've talked about, like making sure you're ready to respond to emails, and not convoluting with your morning, because you owe it to yourself to have some time.
Well, you kind of create this, like if you're getting that negativity, right? Like at least this is for me, kind of what I would do is now I'm like thinking about, because I create my anxiousness, I think about like what else is going to go wrong in the day, right? What else is going to happen? And I kind of create these scenarios and these arguments, if you will, in my brain about like, well, Ashley's going to be mad at me today, and or whomever, right? Like, and this is how it's going to play out. Well, in reality, I'm making all of this up and it's overflowing from the negativity that I'm receiving. So I think you make a great point there too of like making the connection with people. And yes, like you can help them, but also, if you are going in there with an open and clear mind and heart, like you can receive a lot of information and different perspective from them as well. But if you're not, then obviously you're gonna have two toxic people sitting there having a conversation, and that's not a positive thing. So it's those consecutive different decisions that are happening, that you have to make sure that you make that choice to position that next step, whatever it's going to be in the day, that it's going to be positive for you, so that you're not having just a pure chaos day and a pure chaos world.
Right.
You get that breath of fresh air for people. So yeah, no, it's just crazy to see. And like I never really try to talk too much politics with people, because I think that everybody has their opinion, right? But even the negativity amongst these people, a lot of people, and the attacking of just pure nastiness, like that's not the world that we're trying to live in. If you can be that one shining light in the one person's life per day, right? Like how much of a ripple effect is that going to have? And really that ripple effect started from social media, in my opinion, if it's going to be a negative or a positive experience.
Well, and I think the other thing, I think we've talked about it before, but you can love on people that you have differing opinions on. And if you find that it's bothersome to you, which there are some, and like, you try not to let it bother you, but I mean, unfollow people. I mean, there are some people right now that you can see that I feel like that they're posting to create drama, like they're posting to have some type of argument with someone. And like, I have zero space for that. So I either keep scrolling, or you just unfollow, and right, like you can always refollow maybe when things calm down, but like don't allow yourself to even feel or see those things, or just if you're scrolling past someone and someone makes like you see something that upsets you, like they're probably gonna have more of that. Maybe you should just unfollow them. And I think that we've talked about just some drama in my own hometown over the last week, which is just extremely unnecessary. And it is a matter of taking that high road, and that comes with time. But I always tell people, like, I'm not going to focus my energy like down here. Like, I'm busy up here focusing my energy so people can live in that misery. They can do things to upset you. But as long as you have this like corrective, protective bubble around you, that you realize that those things are beneath you and those things are not good for your mental health, it's just a matter of like, okay, well, you do you. I'm going to do me. I'm going to stay over here in my positive zone,
And so the let them theory, Mel Robbins, right? Like,
which I'm like halfway through the book. Yeah.
and I want to read the book. Like I obviously love the theory behind it, right? And I actually have a tattoo on my middle finger that says "Let them," placed there strategically, right? Because I basically like fuck them, let them. And I think it's so great that when I recognize now, when I kind of get that anxiety feeling back, that irritation at somebody, what they posted or their opinion or whatever else, like I mentally stop myself and I say, let them. And it's great to have that pause and being able to, like, it's a release, if you will, of like I can't pick up their rock and put it in my backpack and carry it around their weight. Like, let them have their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion. It does not need to phase me. And like you said, I'm gonna still be up here. I'm gonna do what I need to do in my positive mind, and they can continue to be stagnant. And they can continue. I mean, there's a reason. If you look at the people that are the victims constantly barking, their life is pretty consistent, right? Like, yeah, let them stay there. You're doing other things, and you're going to continue to surpass. And it's so hard to be able to say I'm going to rise above. And so I try not to say that I'm going to rise above, because I don't need to rise above. I'm already above, and I can let them continue to do their bullshit. And I'm gonna live my happy life, because I only get one.
Well, I think, like the next part of that is like after let them, like she talks about, it's let me, right? So like let me, figure out what that means for me, or how I'm going to and internalize that. And I think the best example she gives, which is like, I think maybe the second chapter of the book, it's right away, but talks about she went on social media and she saw this like whole group of girls, and she was like, oh my gosh, like that's such a cute dress. I'm gonna zoom in on it. And she zooms in on it, and it's like who she thought were like her closest friends, and they all went away together for this weekend. And then, she fell into this like, how come I wasn't invited and how come I'm not there and what did I do wrong? And I think that we are all guilty of that. And, it's funny because I had kind of thought about something that happened like 2 weeks ago and I was like, I wonder why we weren't, there. But in the same sense, I was like, I mean, they're lost, but also I was like, it is, it's like you have to then take that step back and be like, I mean, like I haven't really reached out to them lately. Like our goals in life probably have changed. And we've talked about that a lot, when you're kind of on this upward trajectory, like that bothers some people, or some people can't be happy for you. And that's probably why some of those friendships fall off. That's okay. That doesn't mean you can't be friends, or, you can't still see each other. But I think it resonated with me because I think there are so many people that get so obsessed with like when they see people doing things and why they weren't there. It's such a, there's obviously good of social media, but there's just such a negativity. And if we can all realize like, right, so like let them have their weekend away, let them, do their thing, and let me focus on why that might have bothered me, or could I have done something differently, or maybe it is a realization that we've outgrown each other and there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's funny that, again, our conversations always end up to be fantastic and relating back to the things that are happening currently. This morning, I actually got a text message from somebody they're going through stuff and whatnot. And she was telling me that she was talking to her therapist, and she said, healed people grow away from the unhealed.
100%.
And I was like, man, that really resonates with me of, especially the different things that you shared with me in your hometown that's going on. Like they're unhealed.
Correct.
Mean people hurt people.
Hurt people.
Yep. And hurt people. That's it. And that's not, I don't want to hurt people, and I don't want to hurt anymore. I don't want to be unhealed. I want to be healed. I want to be happy. I want to make sure that, if I can help others and bring others with, that is the type of tribe, if you will, that I want to be a part, and let the other people do their thing, and you do you, boo, and I'm going to do me.
Yeah. I think it's just such a realization to be able to get to that point. I think Ben was watching a YouTube video this morning because he's on this journey to be a little bit more positive, because when you're stuck in a house for, 8 weeks, I think it get really tough. But the guy said something, I'll have to look at it again. But as we like to talk about, you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend your most time with. But he also shifted it to say like, you're a sum of the 5 people that are like encouraging you to be better and do better. And like that meant a lot to me. Like, yes, there are people that you surround yourself with, right? Like your work people, people that you see all day, but it's really like the 5 people that are the ones that are going to be like, could you try this? Or could you do this better? Or maybe we should work on this, or I'm going to hold you accountable to this goal. Like you and I, Ryan, Ben, like we talked about quarterly goals, right? And we're supposed to be holding each other accountable for them. And we talked about the other day that we haven't, some of us have done some of them haven't. So, right, like a friendly email went out about, yeah, like we're going to do this quarter, let's do it. But you have to find those people that are willing to push that envelope versus the ones that let you stay stagnant, because that's not how you end up being better or impacting other people.
There we go. Sorry, I muted myself. But yeah, no, it goes back to the circle of people, your mindset, right? The energy that you are putting into the world, you're going to be receiving back from the world. It's crazy that we continuously come back to the same major topics over and over and over. But again, in reality, it's those small occurrences that happen, those decisions that you have to make really quickly. I mean, another great book by Mel Robbins, right? The 5-second rule. Don't allow yourself to give yourself time to talk yourself out of it, right? Get the shit done and let's freaking go, and not live in chaos and stagnant life. And I think that's both your and my goal, is to be able to impact others, to help them through the journey, because it's not always rainbows and sunshine, right? Sometimes life throws a lot of different things at you, twists and turns, and you have to be able to navigate through. And as long as you continue that momentum when those things are thrown at you, I think it's a little bit easier to be able to navigate through and get to the other side a little bit quicker and a little bit happier.
Well, I think the reminder for people too is just that if you are struggling, right, like just reach out to someone, whether it's Stephen or I or someone in your own network. Like there is definitely someone there. And I think we don't do enough of that. I don't think that we do enough of asking for help or You know that I'm very much this way too. Like if something doesn't seem right with someone, like I'm adamant about, is everything okay? Are you sure you're okay? Right? A lot of people don't. I think you can just take it on or you're fine. You don't need to talk about it. But whenever we bottle those things up, that's when they tend to get worse. So, that's such a misnomer as far as putting everything in a cup and keeping it to yourself. And really that's not negative. I mean, it's negative. It's not helpful. So I think just a reminder that if anyone is struggling, like there's definitely someone out there that is willing to listen or help or point you in the right direction or just be someone that is willing to listen to you.
For sure. Well, great topic. Good job that we just threw that out there and saw where it went, right? So
Yeah.
if you guys would like to either be a guest on our podcast or if you have any topics that you would like for us to go over, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from everyone and tune in for the next one.
See,
I feel like I'm
good one.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Stay connected for more genuine insights and strategies to boost your real estate career on Facebook or check out our website. We'll see you next time.